The protagonist's name is Xiaoling, and he was just an ordinary high school student. One day, he was late because his friend turned off his snooze button, so he ran out in a hurry and ended up getting hit by a car, an incredible death for the boy. And now, there he is, face to face with a giant monstrosity, devouring a bunch of people in this apocalyptic world. A samurai is slicing through the tentacles, but the bald guy already warns that the creature can regenerate way too easily. Xiaoling explains that when he first arrived here, he thought he was the chosen one, the person summoned to another world to save everyone. However, he soon realized that something was off about his transmigration. The first time, he tried leading the survivors, but he quickly got bitten in the neck and died. At least as soon as his eyes closed, he woke up in the same place again. On the second attempt, he managed to avoid the zombies as much as possible, but in the end, everyone starved to death. The third time, he disguised himself as a zombie to sneak into secret locations and get food, but the military was looting everything and ended up killing him. On the fourth try, just as he managed to stabilize a base, he got betrayed. Man, this kid is experiencing every possible bad ending. Of course, there was the 6th, 7th, 8th, and many more times where something always went wrong. Now he's on his 9th life in which he tried not to do much and just keep things chill. But even so, he got drafted into the army to fight against the creatures. Meanwhile, the people are wrecking everything and the others are running away. He forgets the supplies, but hey, staying alive is better than having supplies, right? There's a girl in a pretty dangerous situation that could seriously change the age rating of this story. Come on, someone just help her already. Xiaoling is thinking that since he can't stay alive anyway, he might as well try to have some fun this time. So he lets out a yell and starts running towards the chaos, sparks of electricity crackling around him. The ones who were running away wonder if this kid actually knows how to fight or if he just has a death wish. There goes our boy, wielding his electric sword, ready to strike, and he manages to slice through it like butter. The people around just stand there, dumbfounded, tears in their eyes. The girl runs up to thank him, but he just dashes away, telling her to get out of there. He rushes into a convenience store in the back, and sure enough, it's packed with food. Since he's been eating garbage for the past few lives, he immediately starts devouring everything without a second thought. A sip of Coke, something he had been missing so much. And the others just stand there watching this guy shamelessly consume everything. The creature comes at him with a tentacle strike, but Xiaoling is unbothered. He can finally die without regrets. However, as soon as he opens his eyes, strangely, he's still in the same place. He doesn't know if he died and respawned again or if he never actually died. That's when someone speaks up, saying, yes, he did die like an idiot and was revived. He looks around confused about who's talking, but you guys already know, right? It's the system itself. A glow appears behind him, and in an instant, our boy grabs it, shouting that the damn system finally arrived. He died 9 times without it. The bastard took way too long and has no idea how miserable his life has been. The little system immediately jumps out of his arm. He looks to the side and asks the host to calm down, saying it had a small accident. Our boy demands to know what happened that made the system take 9 whole lives to show up. The little system explains that it was all because of another system friend of his who turned off the alarm, but he knows our boy won't believe that. But considering that this was exactly how Xiaoling died, he says he actually believes it. Then he says it's fine. The important thing is that the system finally arrived. Now, where are the equipment, the golden items, and all the riches of the world? The system replies that before anything, he has to receive some instructions. At this moment, he is in a post-apocalyptic world, and his mission is to restore peace to this place. Only by succeeding in this will he be able to return to his original world, and if he fails, he will be completely annihilated. The truth is, he had 10 chances, but he already used up 9, so this is his last one. Our boy tells the system to explain this properly, but the system just tells him to forget about it. It's just a minor detail. The important thing is that he has 1 life left and every minute counts. Xiaoling suddenly feels something and the system announces that it's time for his first mission. He has to sell snacks and drinks to collect 50 crystals, which can be exchanged for attributes and other rewards. Our boy is already imagining himself on the streets with soda cans. Immediately, he wonders why the hell his mission is to open a street stall and start selling food. And to make it worse, there are a bunch of zombies that are about to swarm the place. He instantly takes off running, shouting that he's going to get eaten before he even sells a single thing. He's running for his life, but the little system asks what he's so afraid of. Obviously, he shouts that he's afraid of getting bitten and dying. Then he suddenly stops and remembers he has a system now. So he immediately demands that the damn thing kill these monsters already. The system tells him to call it number 2333. And our boy, feeling all cool, tells 2333 that it should definitely give him eagle-like speed, bear-like strength, or something awesome like that. However, when he checks his system stats, he sees that the information is unavailable. Something feels off. He asks the system what's going on, and it explains that his stats are so low that they can't even be analyzed. He's just that insignificant. Honestly, I thought Xiaoling would be disappointed, but instead he looks relieved. At least he can see his intelligence stat, which means he's a smart guy. Right at that moment, he barely dodges a zombie, but he immediately starts running again, yelling that he wants some real superpowers. The system tells him it already gave him an incredible power and just left it lying on the ground. The protagonist figures it must be that useless little mat on the floor that the creatures were stepping on. He turns back, dashes through the horde, grabs the mat, rolls it up, and smacks the first zombie on the head with it. The boy is completely surrounded. Damn, I thought he was about to do something amazing, but another zombie hits him on the back, making him tumble across the ground, lose the mat, and crash right into a pile of food. The zombies close in for the final bite, and he realizes he died even faster this time than in his previous lives. The disappointment is so overwhelming that he doesn't even feel like eating all this delicious food anymore. But then something strange happens. The zombies seem to be hitting some kind of invisible barrier. Apparently, as long as he's inside his stall, he's completely immune. And just a second later, all the creatures start ignoring him and wandering off in another direction. He's shocked. It's like he just became invisible. So this old mat wasn't so bad after all. He even strokes it, saying he'll never criticize this piece of silk again. I'm just gonna call this system Blue Ball from now on, otherwise it'll get confusing when I refer to this system and when I mean this little troublemaker. Our boy asks Blue Ball what will happen if he encounters other types of mutated creatures, to which Blue Ball responds that as long as he's inside his food stall, he's immortal. Now Xiaoling finally realizes he has a real chance to survive. The fool starts dancing, saying this mission might actually be easier than he thought. But Blue Ball warns him not to get too excited. The effect only activates 3 times a day. If he doesn't complete the mission within that time, the function will deactivate and he'll become a target for the monsters again. Oh, and you better remember, the sun is going to set in 30 minutes. Once night falls, the creature's activity will increase drastically. On a mission in another region, Xiaoling complains that opening a food stall in a place like this is ridiculous. Zombies are everywhere, and he's the only human around. But suddenly, 3 guys appear, saying today's haul was great, and this surprise will make the boss happy. Xiaoling thinks he just got lucky, but these guys don't look friendly at all. They stop and ask, what the hell is this? Why is there candy in a food stall in the middle of an apocalypse? The bastard even had gum, Doritos, and everything. Our boy tells them to make themselves at home and asks what they feel like eating. From their perspective, this is a treasure trove. Instantly, they start talking about how they at least want some fries and dried meat. Xiaoling tells them they're lucky. They're the first customers to find his shop. The bastard goes full-on salesman mode, saying it's not 998, it's not even 98, just 50 right here at this shop. The guys look confused and start saying there's no way they're gonna pay for something like this. One of them immediately pulls out a gun and tells him to take advantage of their good mood because otherwise he'd already be dead. Xiaoling just asks if they're really not going to leave any money. Then he snatches the guy's coat from his hand and says he thought they were cool, but they're just wasting his time. Obviously, the guy instantly points his gun at him, saying the bastard must really have a death wish. He fires, but all the bullets hit the barrier around the stall. Not only that, but the guy gets hit with a counterattack and gets completely fried. His friends can only watch as the fool collapses to the ground like a piece of trash. Man, poor guy really got fried. Looks like he's gone for good. The idiots stand around, wondering, damn, bro, did the gun just explode on its own? One of them says it must have been the guy's ability, but the one with the rock pattern tattoo scoffs, saying there's no way he has something that powerful. Meanwhile, our boy is loving his little cloth, realizing it's even better than he thought. The guys demand he explain what kind of trick he's using. Xiaoling replies that there are many ability users in this world, but there's only one chosen one. But back to business, he tells them that for 50 crystals, they can get tons of food and even take a picture with him. However, when one of the lackeys sees his friend die, there's no way. He's got to go visit him in heaven. Real brotherhood. One goes in for a stab, and the other throws a punch, convinced that the problem was the gun, not the guy. But as soon as the punch lands, it gets reflected, and the dude's arm turns into a noodle. Bro, don't tell me you're still gonna try stabbing after that. There's no way you're this dumb. But even the guy who was supposedly dead suddenly gets up, saying they should all die together and go to heaven as a squad. Our boy stares coldly, and the dude is clearly shitting himself. The moment Xiaoling stretches out his hand, the guy stumbles back, trembling. Then he bolts, screaming that there's no way in hell he's dying to this monstrous kid. At least he was the smartest side character so far. Meanwhile, the others are wondering why they're the only dumb ones still trying to fight. Our boy didn't want them running off like that. He still needed people to buy his stuff. Then he notices they left his sack behind. And judging by the shape, it looks like a person. If it's a person in an apocalyptic setting, it has to be a girl. And if it's a girl, she's got to be fierce and healthy, obviously. Some girls have a round shape, but this one is more triangular. She looks like a weapon, all sharp and ready to fall over. But our boy is already in love. However, she suddenly senses something and lunges at him, making him run for his life. Now's not the time to be falling in love. This girl is clearly a zombie. She swings at him, and he barely dodges, freaking out because he had no idea zombies could be this fast. He grabs a gun cartridge and chucks it at her. It's all he had. But at least it bought him enough time to reach his food stall. Oh crap. But our genius here already used up all 3 daily protections. Now he's screwed. He tries to pack up his stuff and run, but she just leaps over everything and lands right in front of him. He crashes to the ground like a total loser while she stares him down. She starts moving closer and starts chucking food at her head. But she keeps advancing until he grabs something next to him and throws it, telling her to back off. He shuts his eyes, accepting that he's about to die yet again. But when he peeks one eye open, he sees her happily munching on a piece of dried octopus. She takes a little bite, swallows, and looks completely satisfied. He quickly realizes this weirdo likes dried octopus. And now, she's approaching him again. But judging by her face, it's not to do anything good or bad. She's just hungry. The problem is, he ran out of dried octopus, and he has no idea what else she might like. So he grabs a random bag of chips and tosses it into her mouth. Once again, she looks happy. If he can solve the problem like this, at least he won't die. So he starts making a trail of food leading to the edge of a cliff. Then he throws a handful of fries into the lava and tells her to go fetch. The girl skips over, all excited. Damn, this kid is cruel. He's about to throw her into the lava and doesn't even care. That's when he notices something near the cliff's edge, a golden dagger on the ground. It looks like a high-ranking weapon, and on the handle, he sees the emblem of the Thunder Legion. That's the most feared bandit organization across all the apocalyptic bases. All its members are outlaws surviving through robbery, murder, arson, explosions, anything that keeps them alive. He figures this must have belonged to the guys who ran away after attacking his base. No wonder they were so aggressive and had so many weapons. He collects everything, never know when this stuff might come in handy. Then he sees that inside the same sack the zombie girl came from, there's also a bag full of crystals. At least this way he indirectly completed his mission for the day. But Blue Ball says that only crystals earned from sales count, so this doesn't qualify. Yahello protests, saying that damn zombie girl ate his stuffs, so he's taking this as payment and it will count. Blue Ball calls her a zombie girl, but Yahello insists he was never told he had to sell food to a human. Then he drops to the ground, throwing a tantrum, whining that he got the worst system ever. He completed the mission, but it still won't accept it. With that, Blue Ball gives in, saying fine, he completed the daily mission and can now upgrade his attributes. Not only that, but his food stall got an upgrade too. Looks like our boy unlocked some kind of fryer. He doesn't seem too excited about it and just decides to check his inventory. Inside, he finds water, rice, meats, vegetables, everything needed to cook and sell food. He asks Blue Ball if there's anything else. Normally in adventure systems, he should at least have some weapons, explosives, or self-defense tools. But his system buddy explains that they are a food system, not a warrior system. This is how he'll have to survive. So he asks what he can get with 1 experience point. Poor guy ends up with some toothpaste, toothbrushes, a pencil, and that's it. Poor Xiaoling knows that even with the system, survival in the apocalypse won't be easy for him. Since his shop can only block 3 attacks per day, he decides to focus on defense for now. With that, his stamina starts to increase. But after a moment, he pauses and comments that he doesn't feel any different. The system just tells him it doesn't care, whatever. Then it warns him that he has 24 hours to hire someone to work in his shop and earn 100 crystals. Poor Xiaoling immediately freaks out, saying that first, getting 100 crystals is already a ridiculous task, and second, where the hell is he supposed to find someone crazy enough to accept an offer like that? Just then, a piece of paper smacks him in the face, and when he pulls it off, he sees that it's a flyer. He suddenly remembers there really was a shop like that on a street nearby. Every time he was on his way to school, a girl would pass by handing out flyers, trying to get him to try her drink. He wonders if she's still alive. It'd be pretty interesting to have her around, calling him master. And so there he goes, pushing his little hot dog cart through the apocalypse. But right from the middle of the lava, the zombie demon girl emerges. And damn, she's completely intact. She goes back to his shop, but our boy is already gone. She looks around all sad before suddenly taking off running. Looks like that nearby street thing was a lie, or maybe he stopped to take a nap because by the time he reaches the girl's place, it's already the next day. And when he opens the restaurant door, boom, full of zombies inside. He just apologizes for intruding and calmly closes the door. But the next second, he's sprinting away in panic, wondering why these bastards are so persistent today. One of the bigger zombies jumps at his shop, but man, his shop's defense system is no joke and sends the thing flying. The problem is they used up one of his daily defenses, and the zombie that crashed to the ground twisted its body, turned its head around in a freaky way, and came running back upside down. The thing lunges at his leg, but Xiaoling reacts fast and kicks it right in the head, sending the poor thing flying like a soccer ball straight into a car where it gets crushed. Obviously, he has no idea where all this strength came from. Looks like that little power boost actually did make a difference. Then he gets a notification. Congrats on his first kill. His reward? A raincoat. He asks the system if this isn't a little too basic. Blue Ball tells him not to underestimate it, it can block any substance. He could literally swim in nuclear waste and not be contaminated. He doesn't really buy it, but just then he notices he's completely surrounded by zombies. And of course it's his own damn fault for making such a loud mess. Right at that moment, a voice calls out from inside the shop, "Hey kid, get in here, it's warm." With a billion zombies approaching and no other options, he grabs his shop and makes a run for it. That door didn't look like it would fit everything, but somehow, he's already inside. He thanks her for saving him and says he never expected to find her here. Liar. He literally came here just to find her. And now the poor girl is wondering how he even knows her. He tells her he's that high school student who used to pass by, and she would always try to get him to try her drinks. She still looks confused, but she's a sly one. She thinks to herself, there's no way she remembers this weirdo. Does he think he's that good-looking to have left an impression on her? But still, she acts like she remembers and says, "Oh right, you're the guy who loves basketball." He's about to tell her that's not him, until she leans in, pressing 2 giant spheres against him. Soft. He suddenly forgets what he was going to say. Instead, he asks for her name. She says it's Aikin. She happily calls him big bro, and man, this kid has issues. He gets emotional just from being called that. It's the first time in his life something like this has happened, and she just stands there, confused, wondering why the hell this dude is crying. The Anakin rolls across the floor. He turns around, wondering what it is. He picks it up, feeling a little confused. Everything suddenly goes silent behind one of the doors. He starts walking toward it, but the girl warns him not to. She says she trapped some rats back there. They're extremely dangerous, and if he opens that door, they'll escape all over the shop. He starts barking at the door, telling whoever's inside not to get any funny ideas. But clearly something very dangerous is watching our boy from the shadows. Out of nowhere, the girl dramatically faints and collapses to the floor. He asks what's wrong, and she says she hasn't eaten anything in 5 days. Obviously, this kid only thinks with one part of his brain and immediately says he'll cook something for her. She can even choose bread, noodles, or lime. But suddenly, her expression changes. She seems very interested in the fact that he has food. She stands up, walks over, and takes a peek at his food stall. This kid had eggs, flour, and a whole stash of ingredients. Where the hell did this guy get all of this? She never expected this random child to have such a fortune in supplies. But the moment she grabs an egg, it disappears from her hand. The stall has a function that makes it impossible to steal from it. And now she's standing there, completely confused, unable to understand why everything she picks up just vanishes. So she decides, screw it, she'll just take out this kid and everything in that cart will be hers. But then the bag of flour she was holding also disappears. Yahello asks if she's looking for this. She stares at him. That's mine. How the hell is it in your hands? The poor boy says he just happened to grab it when she was kind of tripping with herself. It's a really good mag for cooking. And you sure she doesn't mind since he's making food for her? The half-tilted girl says no, she really doesn't mind at all. But now she's the one getting nervous, wondering if this guy is really this alert all the time. She then asks him not to get the wrong idea. He should know how dangerous it is for a girl like her to survive in a world like this. All she wants is for him to return it as soon as he's done. Our boy tells her, "Of course, I believe you're an honest and good girl." He hands back her knife, telling her just not to use it carelessly. The moment she grabs it, she says she'll show him how to really use it. He was way too dumb and deserved to die for it. But of course the knife bounces right back and nearly takes off her own hand. Well, Luddy says, "I told you not to mess around with that thing, so why don't you listen to me?" She collapses onto the ground, all twisted up, and asks if he's an ability user. Then she suddenly stands up in an extremely athletic and flexible pose, declaring that he will now fight her to the death. Feeling all fired up, she swings in to kick him with a flaming attack. But he just pulls out a tiny pepper spray, and now she looks like a complete idiot. She starts rolling on the ground, and Yahello says, "Looks like you can't handle spicy stuff. But don't worry, I always adjust to my customers' tastes." He goes full salt bomb mode and starts seasoning her. Looks like he really does want to eat her, just not in the way I was expecting. Out of nowhere, the door flies open and 2 little kids come running out, screaming for him to let go of their boss. Our boy is confused, and one of the kids tells her not to worry. They are here to rescue her. But a second later, Yahello has already lifted both of them up, telling the little troublemakers to stop causing problems or they'll just make things worse. The overly seasoned girl gets up and tells him to let the kids go. If there's something to settle, it's with her. Our boy just tosses them toward her, saying, "Here, take them." And they all fall to the ground like a bunch of idiots. Sometime later, he finds the food they were hoarding and is now certain she's tricked plenty of people before him. She says that until now, she never failed a single time and demands to know how he figured it out so fast. But our boy simply replies, anyone who got tricked was just way too dumb. Not only could he see that there were still food scraps inside the cans, which made no sense for someone starving for 5 days, but there was also blood on the ground, yet she didn't have a single wound. Clearly, someone was killed there, and he was lucky he didn't become the next victim. But the kids argue that they only get rid of bad people, like him, who have evil intentions toward poor little Aikin. Unfortunately, when it comes to having certain thoughts about that girl, yeah, he's definitely guilty. Aikin explains that in the apocalypse, everyone does what they need to survive. Apparently that was argument enough because he just agrees. Or maybe our boy is just cruel because he says, if that's the case, then he can't blame me for doing whatever I want now. Everyone looks terrified and Aikin demands to know what he thinks he's about to do. He replies, it's been a while since I had some fresh meat. Today's the day. The kids start panicking, thinking they are about to be eaten. And our boy is enjoying their fear. But then the blonde girl says that if he's going to eat someone, it should be her. After all, those two haven't even fully grown yet. But the kids, being competitive, argue that he shouldn't eat the girl. Children's meat is much more tender, so it'd be better if they cook themselves and let their boss live. Now Yahello is mad. Why are they suddenly acting all noble and making him look like the villain? Right then, the little girl coughs and her brother immediately calls out to her. Aikin shouts that our boy is a monster for choking the girl so badly she can't even breathe. But our boy just shrugs and says their little trick to make him loosen the ropes won't work. Still, the little girl keeps coughing desperately. Yahello actually compliments her, saying her acting skills are really impressive. But the others keep insisting they're not lying. If this keeps up, she's really going to die. So our boy asks the system to check the girl's vitals. After scanning, the system reveals that she has a serious infection spreading through her body. If she doesn't get treatment, she won't survive more than 3 days. And just then, the girl coughs up a ton of blood, right as the system analysis finishes. Yeah, maybe she wasn't lying. He quickly unties her, and her 2 friends rush to help. Sometime later, they lay her out on the ground. Her condition only seems to be getting worse. He notices the wound looks like a bullet hole and asks, who the hell would be this cruel? That's when the blonde girl says it was the Thunder Legion. She explains that before everything went to hell, one of their mothers was just a regular customer at this shop. That woman had watched tons of apocalypse movies all her life, so the moment she saw someone get bitten, she immediately locked the place down. At first, everyone was united, waiting for rescue to arrive. But as the days passed and food ran out, human nature started to show. One guy argued that since the kid was so small, obviously she didn't need to eat as much as an adult. The mother protested, saying the child was sick and had to eat. The guy didn't care. If she was already in bad shape, she wouldn't survive 2 more days anyway, so giving her food was just a waste. That's when the little devil of a kid bit him. He was about to grab the kid and punch him in the chest, but that's when Aitin arrived and swept the guy's legs out from under him. She caught the boy midair and demanded to know why that man was stealing from others. But the guy just crushed the bread in his hand and scoffed, saying it couldn't even be called food. In the end, they were all going to starve to death anyway. Aikin simply turned her back to him and said she didn't know him anything. If he was so hungry, he could go out and find his own food. But clearly, he was just a coward who would rather fight kids than fight zombies. Obviously, the guy did not like hearing that. And do you think people are going to act rationally in times like these? Not even close. An old lady suddenly spoke up, saying the man was right. Hunger was serious, so Aikin had to give them more food. Another woman added that in this kind of world, she needed to use up all her supplies now and later, they'd pay her back once things got better. Aikin explained that this was just a tea shop. Obviously, it didn't have unlimited food. Then the old woman pointed at a locked door and demanded to know why it was still shut. Aikin explained it was just a changing room. There was no food in there. But the lady in the weird banana outfit wouldn't accept that and insisted on seeing inside. Everyone else jumped in, saying they also wanted to know what was behind that door, so she better open it. The mother tried to stop them, reminding them that they wouldn't have even survived this long without Aikin's help. But the others turned on her, saying it was her fault they were trapped in there. Maybe if she hadn't locked them in, they would have already escaped, found a safe place, and been taken care of by the government. She told them that if they were so desperate to leave, they could all go right now. But instead, they started pushing forward, telling each other to ignore the idiot and break down the door. The man laughed mockingly, saying he was about to steal everything she had. But when the door finally swung open, all he saw were a bunch of dresses. What he didn't understand was why the skirts looked so daring and revealing. The old woman immediately declared that it all made sense now. She knew this girl wasn't a decent woman. Another girl clung to her boyfriend and accused Aikin of trying to seduce every man on Earth. Obviously, Aikin told them they were overreacting, but right then, a massive explosion rocked the shop. A man from the Thunder Legion had arrived, commenting that the place seemed pretty packed. The moment he asked who they were, one of the other guys immediately stepped forward, introduced himself, and demanded that he hand over food. But instead, the man pointed at Aikin and accused her of hoarding all their supplies. The second the guys saw Aikin, food was no longer their priority. The bastards were already saying that tonight's feast was going to be her. Obviously, she took off running while the idiots who stayed behind were all captured. One of the guys managed to grab her shoulder and told the lady not to run so much. But she spun around and nearly slashed him with a knife. The guy lost his patience and said it looked like she was more interested in dying. That's when the little girl suddenly jumped in front of her and took the bullet meant for her. Everyone went into a panic and the leader of the group yelled at his men saying no more gunshots. They were about to attract a swarm of zombies. But then he immediately shot again and killed the mother too. What the hell? He ordered an evacuation and told them to leave nothing behind. Damn, these guys massacred the shop. When they were about to finish off the kid and the blonde girl, someone suddenly grabbed him from the side, stopping him. A little boy screamed for his mother, begging her not to do this. But the man was elbowing her repeatedly, saying she was going to die like this. Still, the mother only whispered that she was leaving Xiao Lei and Xiao Ling in her care. With that, she turned around and yeeted herself out of the window. Man, where did this woman find that kind of strength? And right before she went, she wrapped her arms around the guy's waist and pulled a pin from his grenade. Damn, this mother went hero mode. The entire place exploded and we're back with our boy. Aikin is saying everything that happened was her fault. Xiao Ling tells her not to cry, at least if she dies, she'll be able to see her mom again. But the boy begs her not to go, he already lost his mother. But he still wants to have a sister. The system is touched by the scene. but our boy tells it not to get too sentimental. These people tried to kill him after all. Still, he does understand how hard it must have been for Kin, raising 2 kids all alone in the middle of an apocalypse. So he asks the system if there's any way to buy medicine. The system says yes, but his shop isn't a high enough level to unlock the function. Xiaoling snaps, "You damn thing. You said you felt bad for them, right? Then give me something to heal this girl already." But the system refuses, no special exceptions. Now our protagonist is really starting to get annoyed at this system's excessive sense of justice. Right then, it pulls up his food cart, saying that while flexibility isn't an option, there's a way to make it work. One thing the boy never knew was that food made from his stall had healing properties. Xiaoling stares. "You could have told me that earlier. This is gonna be easy then." But then the system reveals, actually, the healing effect of the food depends on the chef's level. So obviously, this is gonna be trash. With no other choice, he says he'll just have to try anyway. Looking at his ingredients, he wonders what he can make, and then he gets an idea. He cracks an egg, makes a dough, adds some seasoning, and throws it over the fire. The trio of idiots watches, wondering what the hell he's making and why it smells so good. Kin stares at whatever apocalyptic thing he just cooked up. She asks what it is, and he tells her not to worry. It's not poisonous. It was an egg waffle, something he loved as a child, and he asked her to give it a try. All cute, she thanked him, saying it looked really nice. Then she took a bite and immediately said it was incredibly sweet and flavorful. Out of nowhere, she suddenly stood up, and Kin told her to be careful. But the girl revealed that, just like that, she wasn't feeling any pain anymore. Kin placed a hand on her forehead and realized that her fever was actually going down. Normally in stories, the hot blonde is dumb, but this one was different. She immediately knew it was something about our boy and his food. She asked what he put in it and whether he had some kind of special ability. But our boy just smirked. "I'm not revealing my secret, but I will say that she needs to eat a lot more of these to fully recover. This one was free, but next time, I'm charging. Bastard." Kin then told him that if he cured the little girl, he could have everything in the shop. But the guy just shrugged, saying food wasn't something he lacked, like he needed that stuff. What he wanted was her. Damn, our boy knows how to play the apocalypse game. Obviously, the kids immediately spoke up, saying they knew he was dangerous. They begged him not to hurt her that way, and once again, our guy was stuck looking like the villain. So he quickly clarified he just wanted to hire her to work in his food stall. That's all. The trio huddled together, and the boys said they still didn't know what abilities Xiaoling had. Kin agreed, adding that while they were around him, food didn't seem to be a problem, so it was a great option. She agreed to work for him, but only if Xiaoli and Xiaoling could come too. Funny how the little girl's name was Xiaoling, all separate, while our protagonist was Xiaoling in one word. Yeah, I'm just calling her the little girl from now on, otherwise this is gonna get confusing fast. Xiaoling was already thinking this wasn't a good idea, especially since Qin immediately pulled out a contract, saying he had to sign and follow all the rules. It said they would only work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., had life insurance and everything. He pointed at it and said she was basically trying to get paid just to use the bathroom. She said that was exactly right, and if he wanted to hire a child, he had to pay for her rights too. But right at that moment, they heard a voice outside saying that delicious smell was coming from inside. The door started shaking, and the guys from the Thunder Legion said, just as expected, there were people in here. One of them reached for the little girl's waffle, saying, "I knew my nose never lies." But the boy immediately jumped in front of her, saying it belonged to his sister. And right in front of the boy, our protagonist stepped forward. The guy asked if he was really willing to fight over this. But Xiaolin just shrugged and said, "No, I'm just a simple vendor in this apocalyptic world. But if you guys want some waffles, I can make some too." The guy turned back to his boss and said, "Hey, I do kinda want some waffles." The boss just stood there, confused. Why the hell was this bastard selling waffles out of nowhere? Then he walked up to Xiaoling and asked how much they cost. For our boy, this was the perfect chance to finish his mission. So he pulled out a list and told the guy to check the menu. The guy saw that one waffle cost 10 crystals and asked if they were made of gold or something. But Xiaoling just said that in the apocalypse, ingredients were the most expensive part. The boss thought about it and agreed that made sense. "All right then," he said, "we'll start by buying a few." The masked guy warned, "If this doesn't taste good, I'm beating you up and crushing that little shop of yours." The boss nodded in agreement until something soft, warm, and smooth suddenly brushed against his arm. Qin leaned in, smiling sweetly, saying, "Forgive my boss. Sometimes he can be a little grumpy." The man instantly started steaming, completely dazed. She complimented his chest muscles, saying he must have had plenty of experience fighting zombies. His men standing off to the side already knew. Yup, their boss just got defeated by his 1 weak spot again. Qin then told everyone to wait patiently while the food was being made and gave Xiaoling a little wink. Now he was thinking, maybe hiring this devil wasn't such a bad idea after all. The food stall was set, and he got to work cooking. The hungry crowd was beyond eager to finally eat something decent. Once everything was ready, everyone had their waffles in hand, digging in. The boss took a bite and immediately said it was delicious. The smell reminded him of childhood. Just for a moment, it made him forget all the horrors that had happened since the apocalypse began. Right then, our boy received a whole bag of items, and the boss congratulated him, saying he really had some impressive skills. Then he said he was curious to see what else Xiaoling could make besides waffles. Xiaoling grinned, gave a thumbs up, and said, "Oh, I can make a lot of things." The guy started shouting about fried chicken, hot dogs, spicy sauce, and all sorts of food. Others in the back started asking for Coca-Cola, sweet treats, fried pancakes, and everything else they could think of. And damn, the boss straight up ordered 10 of everything. But luckily, our boy said he needed way more ingredients to make all of that. The boss waved it off, saying not to worry. Just tell him what he needed, and they'd go get it. Xiaoling was impressed by this guy's confidence. Akin looked at the group and commented that, judging by their appearance, they seemed like apocalypse merchants. If they handled the item collection, then they wouldn't even have to risk themselves producing anything. Immediately, the two of them started offering a long-term cooperation deal to the boss, saying that accepting it would earn him discounts in the future. Everyone exchanged glances, wondering what each person would decide. Meanwhile, the merchants were laughing at the boss, saying that despite having such a big gang, he was still kind of broke. Our boy didn't like hearing that bit about him being broke. But then the boss said he hadn't been outside in a while and wanted to know where exactly he had ended up. Right at that moment, a car pulled up and someone came out saying that something was wrong. Wahoo and the others had been injured. Another group was now approaching our boy's shop, and this time it seemed like he recognized one of them. The boss immediately demanded to know who did this to Wahoo. Damn, now that I look at it, it's those guys, the ones our boy absolutely wrecked. The idiot who got fried stepped forward and said it was some cursed kid selling stuff on the street. The boy was hugging a carpet and saying that he was the chosen one or something like that. The boss scoffed, saying it was ridiculous that they had lost to someone with such a massive delusion. One of his guys nodded, agreeing that if a chosen one did exist, it would be their boss. Even the pineapple-haired guy chimed in, saying they also thought that was the case, until they attacked the kid and all their attacks got reflected. The boss and another guy admitted they had never heard of an ability like that before, but Aikin had. She had already been hit by something very similar. She clearly remembered the moment she tried to stab him, only to be flung away. She glanced back, wondering if it was that damn brat's doing. And the moment she saw him slowly sneaking away, she knew. The boss declared that whoever did this would die for messing with the leader of the Legion. The whole group froze in fear and started whispering, "Was this guy Lai Hong?" Aikin walked up to him and asked if he was really Lai Hong, the leader of the Legion. The idiot standing next to him confirmed it, saying that everyone always got surprised when they found out who he was. And the guy, grinning, said that because of the delicious waffles they had made, if they ever had any trouble, they could just call him. On the other hand, the kids were furious, saying he was the leader of the group that had killed their mother. Lai Hong picked up the two of them and asked what they were talking about. That made no sense. His right-hand man, Damaska, agreed, saying that even though they were bandits, they never harmed women or children. But Aikin wasn't buying it. She immediately launched a flaming kick at him, shouting that she knew that was a lie. The boss tossed the child into the air just in time to dodge. The idiot softened his sister's fall while Aikin charged in, looking dangerous with those fiery legs. But something definitely went wrong with her attack. She tried again, but he dodged once more. The rest of the gang was excited, saying this was going to be an interesting fight. But from the looks of it, the boss did want some help. He really didn't want to hit a woman. The blue-haired girl sighed, saying that one day the boss was going to have to get over the psychological barrier of his. Once again, he dodged a beautiful kick from Aikin. Meanwhile, up above, something was watching. Not someone, but a weird, gross tentacle. Meanwhile, our boy was amazed that he was the protagonist of this story and the enemies were too busy fighting each other. That's when he suddenly remembered. He had already used his protection twice today, which meant he only had one more chance to stay safe, so he really had to be careful. But right at that moment, the old man and the pedestrian crossing-looking dude pointed straight at him, shouting that he was the bastard. In the same second, the boss, tired of playing, grabbed Aikin by the ankle and flung her toward one of his men. Then he walked up to our boy and said he was bold for beating up his subordinates and stealing his crystals. Our boy, feeling awkward, said it was all just a big misunderstanding. But the other guys weren't about to let him off easy. They yelled that this was the guy who beat them up, stole everything, and even made them lose their shipment. The kids proudly declared that yes, of course, it was him, because he was amazing and beat up everyone. And Aikin smirked and said our boy was even braver than she thought. He was the type of guy who would actually hit women. I don't know if that was supposed to be a compliment, but it definitely provoked the boss. Because now the man was fuming, completely losing his cool. Our boy quickly told everyone to shut up before he actually got killed. And just like that, the leader said he was done with all this. It was time to end this. With a single punch to the ground, the entire area started crumbling. As the dust settled, Lai Hong stood there, unmoving, surrounded by the smoke. Aikin was shaken. The guy had destroyed the entire concrete ground with just his hands. Meanwhile, the kids were panicking, wondering if our boy was okay. The masked guy sighed, saying people with abilities were incredible, especially the boss, since he had the best power of them all. Our boy stood there, completely intact, thinking to himself that if that had hit his body, he'd have been turned to dust. The boss immediately went into JoJo mode, throwing combo after combo, but our boy just kept dodging and slipping away. Then Lai Hong finally asked, how did he have the nerve to hit a woman? And with that, he slammed our boy right in the arm, hurling him into the distance. Obviously, our poor kid was already spitting up blood, but the boss was actually impressed. Unlike everyone else, this guy didn't disintegrate the moment he touched him. However, Lei Hong was already advancing towards him, warning that even so, he was still far from being a match. The kids were panicking. They knew our boy had no chance. Aikin, on the other hand, was thinking that if Xiaoling died, she and the kids would get everything in his food cart. Honestly, Aikin, it's way more likely you'll just lose everything and get taken by the gang along with it. Xiaoling started muttering that these bastards were always just a bunch of thugs. But Lei Hong laughed and said our boy was pathetic. Even his own group had abandoned him. Then, bam, another punch sent him slamming into the wall. Damn, that one had to hurt. His stomach was completely exposed and turning red. He already knew that dodging wasn't an option. The guy was way too fast. The only choice was to use that trick. He knew that the stronger the attack, the stronger the force that would be reflected. With only one shot, he started running straight toward Lei Hong. Lei Hong smirked. Finally, you're acting like a man. Then you'll die like one. But just as the punch came, Xiaoling slid under his arm and through his legs. And hold up, did he just pull down the guy's pants while passing by? Now the dude was just standing there, blushing, completely confused about why this kid would do something like that. Everyone else was looking around, confused, while one of the guys burst out laughing. Our boy's plan to piss him off as much as possible had worked. The veins on Lei Hong's face were bulging. He was about to explode with rage. He lunged at Xiaoling, yelling that this time he was dead. But Xiaoling was about to mess up because he was eyeing a little knife on the ground. And sure enough, in that instant, he rammed his shoulder into one of the guys, making him drop Aikin and snatch the knife from his leg. He yelled that he was going to avenge their mother. Aikin and the little girl both shouted at him to be careful, while the masked guy pulled a gun and fired at the boss, telling him to get out of the way. Xiaoling snapped, "You bastards, didn't you say you don't hit women and children?" With no choice, he hurled his cart in front of the kid. The bullet was blocked, but now our boy had to take the full force of Lei Hong's fury-filled punch. In that moment, he knew this was the end of his life as the protagonist. Seriously, Kiz Redan curse. Just as the punch was about to smash his face, an explosion went off inside the shop, and stepping through the smoke was our healthy zombie girl, as always looking stunning and probably hungry. The moment she entered, the guys noticed something, but before they could react, she invaded the place. Man, she landed a brutal kick right into Lei Hong's face. He sniffed the air, completely dazed, but she just stared at him, swaying something dangerous in her hands, and we already know this guy cannot resist. Meanwhile, our boy immediately recognized who she was, and damn, she decked him. One beautiful, powerful punch sent the boss flying. He smashed into a wall, coughing up smoke. The gang was shocked. The pedestrian strike guy immediately realized this was the same woman they had captured before. Right away, everyone pulled out their crossfire guns and started firing. But she elegantly dodged every shot. They already knew no normal zombie could move like this. They had to be careful. She landed gracefully on top of our boy's food stall, just as one of the guys swung an axe at her. Xiaoling, crying, yelled for them to keep fighting, but away from his shop. He shoved her out of the way mid-attack, saving both her and the stall. The guys were losing patience with him. One of them yanked out a bazooka, and at least this one there was no dodging. Xiaoling begged them not to fire something like that at his humble little shop, but it was too late. The shot had already been fired. The zombie girl, however, just looked bored as she watched it coming. I thought she was about to dodge, but no. She dropped to the ground and saved the stall, making the shot barely miss. Our boy immediately praised her. Great job. And then, another explosion. Lei Hong started getting up from the rubble, furious. He declared that even if she was a woman, she would not be forgiven. But another explosion messed up the shop and a wooden beam smacked right onto his head. The guys looked at each other. Yeah, their boss was not having a lucky day. He turned to yell at the bazooka guy, who apologized, saying that girl was just too fast. Lei Hong, completely done with this, ordered them to end this now. The pedestrian strike guy stepped forward, saying he turned them all into Swiss cheese, but the zombie girl, still elegant as ever, continued dodging everything. Man, I don't even know how this family and our boy haven't died yet. Xiaolin quickly told them that they needed to take advantage of this mess and get out of there, before either the crazy zombie or the gang decided to come after them. But deep down, our boy was rooting for the zombie to win and eat everyone, and she just kept dodging every bullet with flawless movements, until she suddenly noticed our boy sneaking away with the food. Now it was serious. She grabbed a metal rod from the ground and hurled it midair. Right away, the pedestrian strike guy was disarmed, but his gun had AI and kept firing in every direction. Our boy did not have a single moment to enjoy himself, and now he had a whole family to take care of too. That's just tragic. Oh, and that AI gun. Yeah, the thing was floating in the air, randomly aiming at everyone. Finally, the damn thing ran out of bullets and dropped to the ground. Apparently, even the enemies had been hiding in fear of that thing. Now they were all wondering, where did that zombie girl go? Even our boy, hiding behind his stall, was asking himself the same question, just as he was about to say it was time to run. She appeared right there. The fan service blocker grabbed her skirt and threw a quick punch. With that, our boy immediately took off running in desperation, along with the rest of the crew. I'm starting to feel bad for the hungry zombie girl left behind like that. Meanwhile, up above, that octopus thing was watching our boy. She seemed to sense something and suddenly leaped toward him. Crying in terror, he yelled, asking what the hell he had done to make her chase him this much. But right at that moment, a tentacle shot out from the ceiling, going straight for him. She realized she wouldn't make it in time to stop it, so she threw herself in front of him like a hero. Damn, she's already caught. Now I'm really scared this story is about to take a weird, slimy turn. But then she was yanked away right in front of our boy. He jumped back in shock as she was slammed into the wall. And with that, the giant slimy octopus descended from the ceiling. Man, this thing was a lot bigger than I expected. It was taking up the entire space. Now that I think about it, how is this shop even still standing? It was never this big before. Suddenly it's as huge as a football field. Lei Hong commented that it was a mutant, and the gang immediately pulled out their crossfire weapons to finish it off. But of course, every monster in this place could deflect bullets and dodge, so it was useless. And holy hell, the girl just became a puddle of blood after getting smashed into the wall. Like a plastic doll, her entire abdomen was crushed. She was already unconscious. Aikin said she had done it to protect our boy, but he didn't understand why she would do that. Once again, she reached into her little pouch, and when she opened her hand, inside was one of the snacks he had given her. The same one he had used to lead her to the lava, to kill herself basically. And yet, she had saved it and brought it back to him. She had kept it all this time. She was starting to remind me of that girl from that homunculus story. Never says a word, super healthy, just way too nice. Shirley asked if she even understood anything, and our boy snapped at the system, demanding, why the hell is this girl acting so human if she's a zombie? The system analyzed her and explained that a very few creatures could receive the zombie virus while keeping part of their consciousness intact. Basically, she had about the same intelligence as a dog. The girl was writhing in pain on the ground, and Aikin started to pity her. The siblings asked if zombies even felt pain, and whether she was going to die. Shirley said that as far as he knew, zombies only died if you cut off their head or blew up their brain. The little girl protested. She had tried to save their boy, so she couldn't just die like this. But Aikin was blunt. Her spine and vertebrae are completely shattered. No way in hell she's making it out of this alive. Shaolin clenched his fists, angry. He knew she ended up like this because of him. He asked, System, can I give her one of my egg waffles to help her recover? But the system coldly responded, no, that only works for humans. To heal other creatures, you would need to upgrade his shop even more. Immediately, he demanded, then what's the mission to upgrade it right now so I can get that function? The system told him he needed to get a level 2 crystal within the next 24 hours. Our boy knew a level 2 crystal was worth 100 level 1 crystals, and the only way to get one was to kill a mutant. How convenient, there just happened to be one right in front of him. The gang with their infinite ammo was still firing away, at least keeping the monster in place. Finally, one of them realized the obvious. The bullets weren't piercing it. At that point, there was only one option left, pull out the bazooka as always. They fired a shot straight at the creature. The monster blocked it with its tentacle, and just as the idiot who fired started celebrating, I knew it wasn't gonna work. Not only was the thing totally fine, it looked like it had actually eaten the projectile. The guys were shocked. How the hell did this thing catch a bazooka round in its mouth? And now, they were about to get tentacles slapped for their stupidity, along with a spray of green, clearly corrosive poison. The pedestrian striped guy tried to run, but too late. Lei Hong shouted for everyone to start running. That liquid was acidic. They started grabbing debris and hiding behind cover. But then, another tentacle smashed down, crushing one of them completely into the ground. And now, that corrosive liquid was leaking everywhere. One of the gang members begged the boss to abandon them. He couldn't die trying to save them. But the boss refused. He kept holding up the slab of concrete, determined to help. His feet were already sinking into the ground when, bam, the tentacle pierced straight through the rock. Man, I really hope this story doesn't take a slimy turn again, because that guy just got grabbed. Okay, don't do it, tentacle thing. Thank God, it just lifted him up and the boss snapped, finally activating his power. I thought it was gonna be something epic, but no. He was just standing there, still holding the rock. Wait, no, hold up. He threw the rock, jumped, and went in for a punch. He grabbed the tentacle, trying to pull it back. Problem was, the damn thing was covered in slime, so he couldn't get a solid grip. As soon as it slipped free, the monster lifted its limbs and rained down acid. And then, someone slid in, all dripped out in a raincoat, Captain Levi style. Our dear Yahello started climbing the tentacles. The gang was freaking out. Was this kid insane? Did he have some kind of hidden power? Even Lei Hong said it was weird. He couldn't feel any energy coming from the boy. A tentacle almost got him, but he dodged, then jumped forward and launched some kind of water-style attack. What the hell? It looked like some sort of teleportation, and suddenly, he was right in front of the monster's mouth, knife in hand. And then he slammed the blade right into the bazooka round that was stuck in the creature's mouth. With that, sparks started flying and Shaolin immediately ran. The bazooka shot finally exploded inside the creature's mouth, sending smoke everywhere. Not only that, chunks of octopus started raining down. Damn, there was really nothing left of that thing. Our boy stood there, dripping in confidence, commenting that this raincoat was actually pretty useful. It had completely protected him from the explosion's impact, proving that the system's items weren't that bad after all. He told the system he wanted more stuff like this, but the damn thing just replied that he doesn't get to choose. At that moment, Xiaoling spotted the creature's body, walked over, and pulled out the level 2 crystal. Not only that, he also received an apocalyptic recipe book. And now, his healing abilities worked on any creature. He was intrigued by the cookbook, and the system explained that not many people knew Fizz, but even mutants could be eaten by humans as long as you knew which parts weren't infected. Xiaoling immediately realized this was perfect for getting food easily. Totally worth it. Then he walked over to the zombie girl, who damn was still practically swimming in that pool of blood. He put something in her mouth. Was it the crystal? Or food? I don't know what it was, but 1 second later, she was on her feet, completely healthy. And this time, actually healthy. The girl looked thrilled, while Ai Qin, on the other hand, was stunned. Our boy had killed the mutant alone. Just a minute ago, he was running away like a coward, and the next, he was charging in to take down the creature. Either he had some serious mood swings or he was hiding his true strength. Right then, the zombie girl pointed at her own mouth. But Xiaoling quickly told her to cut that out. That was a weird thing to do. Meanwhile, Ai Qin had already decided it wasn't a good idea to rely too much on this guy. Xiaoling told her to stop, but he was already messing around, tossing her some snacks while they ran. In the end, Ai Qin thought to herself, at least he had a good heart. But then, Xiaoling turned to his sister and warned her not to get too close to that woman. She was a zombie, which made it extremely dangerous. If it got bitten, it was over. The zombie girl suddenly turned toward them and took a step closer. She spotted some crumbs on the little girl's lips and licked them right off. Then she turned to Xiaoling, who immediately realized what was about to happen next. He ran for his life, shouting, "Do you have no shame?" While she was having fun, Lei Hong suddenly called everyone's attention. He walked up to Xiaoling and said, if he could heal even a zombie, maybe he could heal his brother too. Obviously, he was talking about Pedestrian Strike Guy and Iron Mask Guy, who were barely clinging to life on the ground. Xiaoling took one look at their condition and said, yeah, this looks pretty serious. Their skin was rotting and you could even see bone. Lei Hong sighed and said he knew that. That's exactly why he wanted Xiaoling to fix them. But our boy frowned. Why do you people keep trying to order me around? He remembered very clearly what happened when he tried to punch Lei Hong. That hurt like hell. Lei Hong understood what the kid wanted and just said, fine, name your price. Just as Xiaoling was about to name a number, Ai Qin suddenly placed a hand on his shoulder. He threw it off immediately and shouted, I'm not healing those bastards, no matter how much they pay. The kids nodded in agreement, saying that guy was a villain. Lei Hong simply responded, I already told you. We might be a gang of bandits, but we don't attack or steal from those who can't fight back. If one of my men killed someone you knew, then that person wasn't a good person. The kids immediately objected, saying that their mother had absolutely been a good person. He and his gang were the real bad guys. Ai Qin snapped at the boss, telling him to stop pretending. She knew that the moment they were all healed, he would order them to attack. But suddenly, Xiaoling said he believed him. The whole group went silent, completely stunned. Then our boy pulled out a red cloth and asked Xiaole if he had dropped it. Xiaole said yes. He had taken it from the group that killed his mother, so he would never forget who he needed to avenge. Xiaoling took out a knife and explained, even though the symbols looked the same, they were actually mirrored in opposite directions. To be honest, I had to stare at it for a solid 2 minutes before I even noticed. One lightning bolt pointed left, while the other pointed right. Someone was copying someone else's symbol. A kid nodded, adding that the real one was also much more precise. The kids commented that the fake one looked like something a child had drawn. The boss huffed and said to go easy on their symbol, it was made with a lot of care. Xiaoling then explained, it was common for some groups to steal the symbols of others to start conflicts. And that's probably what happened here. The little trio was shaken and the boss finally realized why everyone in this region had been hating them recently. Xiao Li clenched his fists in anger, while his sister asked, then how do we get our revenge now? Ai Qin sighed and said they needed to forget about revenge, because for sure their mother wouldn't have wanted that. The kids fell silent. Then the masked guy muttered that he wanted to wipe out those bastards ruining their reputation. But the poor guy wasn't doing too well. He immediately coughed up blood. Lei Hong sighed. Now that everything's clear, our boy can help my friend, right? Xiaoling, being the generous soul he is, decided he'd only charge 10 crystals per person. Immediately, the boss handed over the money. And with that, a few eggs were cracked. I thought they had cracked eggs to start cooking. But no, those eggs had been broken during the shootout. Xiaoling responded that this was a peculiar situation. Maybe the guy should just take his crystals back. But of course, Lei Hong wasn't about to accept that. So our boy just shrugged and said it was a joke, had figured something out. The problem was, how the hell was he supposed to make an egg waffle without eggs? That's when he got the idea to check out his new recipe book. His eyes lit up, he had found something perfect. He quickly scanned the ingredients he still had and started collecting chunks of octopus. Following the instructions, he first removed the membrane and those little suction things. Doom was basically in Minecraft mode. He transformed the entire thing into cubes. threw everything into a pot, gave it a mix, then tossed it onto the griddle. Once one side was golden brown, he flipped it over, added some salad dressing and a drizzle of tomato sauce, and finally topped it with grated potatoes to make it perfect. With that, his octopus takoyaki was ready. He brought it over to the guys and told them to eat up. It would help them recover. But pedestrian strike guy immediately snapped, asking if Xiaoling had lost his mind. Was he really giving them mutant meat? Lei Hong looked curious, wondering if it was actually safe to eat something like that. He simply replied that he wasn't giving the crystals back, so if they wanted food, this was what they were getting. The masked guy hesitated, took a whiff, and admitted that at least it smelled good. Then he decided to eat it, saying that even if he died, he couldn't pass up something this tempting. I wanted to see the bastard take off his mask, but apparently it was already in his mouth before I could even blink. Suddenly, he grabbed his throat. His friends panicked, asking what was happening. Why did he look like he was choking? Lei Hong glared at Xiaoling, warning him, "If something happens to my guy, you're dead." But before anything else could happen, our lovely zombie girl jumped in to protect him. Damn, this boss was already flustered. This man had issues. Then, the masked guy revealed, "Of course, it's delicious. Here we go, these guys were straight out of Shakajiki no Soma." He went off saying, "The outer layer is so soft as if I'm being embraced by clouds. The seafood flavor is intense, like an elf battle on the tip of my tongue. This dish is like the ocean itself striking straight into my soul." The man was straight up crying from the sheer deliciousness. The other two idiots looked at each other, wondering if it was really that good. The three of them rushed over to Xiaoling, demanding to try some too. And the moment they did, the exact same reaction. They were hooked. One of them even grabbed a takoyaki ball and shoved it into his friend's mouth. The guy instantly melted, saying it was absolutely incredible. At the same time, the injuries on the bleached blonde guy started healing. Even his broken bones seemed to be fixing themselves. The guy was stunned. Was this some special effect of the octopus? But Xiaoling just smirked. Just a little special touch of mine. Then, he realized he had just said something stupid. He should have played it off, said it was luck, or that he wasn't sure how it worked. Now, if these guys started thinking he was actually capable, they might try to enslave him. Lei Hong gave him a thumbs up, saying it was amazing. He hadn't expected Xiaoling to be this talented. Our protagonist sighed in relief. At least this guy didn't seem like such a monster after all. Right then, Lei Hong brought up the partnership Xiaoling had mentioned earlier, and the boss said he'd think about it. But the three idiots immediately objected, saying the boss shouldn't even consider it. That damn brat had beaten up everyone here. Xiaoling clapped back, saying that was their fault. They tried to steal from an honest street vendor. The guy scoffed, telling him not to compliment them so much. Apparently, their criminal nature was something to be admired. Even the boss nodded, saying, "That's true. It's your fault for flaunting food like that out in the open. Obviously, any decent bandit would try to rob you." Xiaoling raised an eyebrow. "Alright then, why were you guys carrying this girl in a bag? Even if she's partially turned into a zombie, she's still a woman. So why exactly were you transporting her like that?" The gang members suddenly got awkward. One of them scratched the back of his head and muttered, "Well, you know, it's her fault for being too pretty. We were going to give her to the boss as a gift." The kids in the group paused, thinking, these guys have some interesting fetishes. Meanwhile, Akin was shocked. Even a zombie girl wasn't safe from these degenerates. The masked guy told the boss he was sure he'd like her. They had seen him talking to girls before, getting all flustered. So naturally, they came up with a brilliant idea to use a zombie to help him overcome his fear of women. Lei Hong, completely embarrassed, tried to salvage whatever dignity he had left. That doesn't make any sense. Then he threatened to crush them all if they didn't start explaining properly. Pineapple head guy insisted, "Boss, everything we do is out of love." The bleached blonde nodded. "Exactly. We're sure that if you spent some quality time with her, you'd start getting over your fear of women." Pedestrian strike guy pleaded, "Boss, please try to understand our side. We're just looking out for the leader we love so much." And then, the full-on brawl broke out with Lei Hong beating the hell out of his own men. Right at that moment, the system chimed in, reminding Xiaoling that he needed to hire someone for his shop ASAP. Our boy was confused. He thought he had already hired Aikin. But Blue Ball's system explained, it would only count once they both agreed on terms, and when the hired person put on the uniform provided by the system. Now that piqued Xiaoling's interest. He started imagining a long-made outfit covering everything properly, a doctor's coat, someone who really dedicates herself to the profession, and finally, a bunny suit perfect for girls to walk around with their families. Our boy was drooling, whispering, "Yeah, those are gonna be nice." Of course, Blue Ball system immediately shut him down, saying it was a legitimate system and would not provide those kinds of outfits. And then, a maid outfit appeared in his hands. Our boy was disappointed with the design, saying it was pretty boring. He handed it to the little family, explaining that they had to wear it, because that's just how the system worked. The little girl was excited, Chevrolet was pissed, and Aikin just looked confused. Xiaoling lied, saying it was only because their clothes were dirty, and asked them to put it on quickly. Aikin was about to change right then and there, but Xiaoling quickly told him, her, to go inside if more privacy was needed. The bandits, even the blue-haired girl, laughed, saying it was such a minor detail that he didn't even need to mention it. But Aikin really didn't care and was already trying to put on the new outfit. The problem was, Aikin was way too healthy, the buttons wouldn't close. Lei Hong, poor guy, had a hemorrhage on the spot and almost died. Our boy immediately snapped at everyone, telling them to stop staring and have some respect for the lady. And then, something smacked him in the head. He was confused, grabbed it, and stared at it for a second. Then he glanced back at Aikin. And no way. The Dan artist did this on purpose. Gave him the perfect body only to trap everyone here like fools. Setting that aside, the damn guy had abs our boy could only dream of. Wait, guy? Now Xiaoling was the one terrified, realizing that the real victim here was him. Aikin. No, he just smiled and said, I never said I was a woman. Why are you so surprised? Xiaoling immediately demanded to know. Then why are you dressed like that? You're making people misunderstand things. Pineapple Head Dude asked if he had pretended to be weak to lure enemies in. Bleached Blonde Dude nodded, saying he must be a genius strategist. But Aikin just shrugged and said, nope, I just like dressing this way. The little girl smiled and said, he just loves dresses. Xiaoling, still recovering, sighed and explained, this is called cross-dressing. Our boy was devastated. His dream of a romantic assistant had just been shattered. And Aikin, smug as hell, immediately realized. So that was his plan all along, huh? At that moment, the system reminded Xiaoling to finish the contract and asked if he was sure about his choice. Xiaoling's heart soared. Was there still an auction? A paper materialized in front of him, showing everything he needed to set up. The contract duration, salary, and more. He grabbed a pen and wrote his name, which, weirdly, was Shang Xiaohu. Then why the hell did they introduce him as Gao Xiaoling at the start of the story? Well, too bad, he's Gao Xiaoling now. I'm not switching to Xiaohu out of nowhere. Zombie Girl was watching him write, and once he was done, he handed the contract over. Aikin noticed his defeated expression and asked, why do you look like that? You should be happy. No one else gets to be your assistant. Meanwhile, our boy was thinking. While other protagonists were out here gathering harems full of gorgeous women, he was stuck taking care of children with another guy. He never thought his life would reach such a miserable state. And just as Aikin was about to sign, Zombie Girl came sprinting forward, snatched the contract with her mouth and took off running. Our boy freaked out. Don't do anything stupid. He chased after her, catching her mid-run, shouting that she couldn't eat that. But she had already left a bite mark right where the signature was supposed to go. And with that, the contract was signed. And then, she started glowing. Light erupted from her. Fire, wind, static clouds, pure energy. And something else. This was the evolution we had all been waiting for. All right, artist, I forgive you for what you did to Aikin. Because this was worth it. But even so, our boy screamed to the heavens. Identity went to work with a zombie. Sometime later, outside the shop, Aikin was pissed, complaining that Xiaoling had chosen a zombie over someone as beautiful and amazing as him. But, considering the compensation he'd be getting, he wasn't that mad. Basically, he was still going to work for Xiaoling anyway, just without an official contract, which meant he could leave anytime he wanted. Xiaoling sighed. We can't stay in this destroyed place anymore, so what's the plan? Aikin suddenly grinned. I was just messing with you. I'm actually joining up with Lai Hong's crew. He said he'd look after me and the kids. So that's our best chance at survival. Xiaoling nodded. That's great news. Even though they're bandits, they seem like decent people. At least they'll protect the kids. Just then, the little girl called for Xiaoling. She handed him a card saying it had fallen when Zombie Girl started transforming. And there she was, wearing a badge with her name. Bai Feifei. Xiaoling thanked her. And at that moment, Lei Hong approached, handing him a location. It was where their base was for now. If you run into any trouble, come find us. Xiaoling glanced at the paper. It was the Qingshan prison, an extremely secure base with an alarm and everything else. He praises the choice and Lei Hong thanks him, explaining that before the apocalypse, obviously, no one would want to end up in prison. But now that everything started, it's the best place to be. At that moment, Aikin is already clinging to the boss, saying he really is very intelligent and incredible. But the boss runs away, telling someone to get this lunatic off him and put men's clothes on him. Aikin, however, says that won't be possible because he's fighting for the freedom to dress as he wants. Sometime later, the crazy gang left, and the kids waved goodbye to our boy. Pineapple Head and the rest of the gang told him to be careful and not get eaten by zombies. And our boy just waved back. He looked at the card and kept thinking that for him, he had no idea what he was going to do. But he was curious to see what awaited him in the future. He said that to Feifei, but the damn girl had already disappeared and was eating everything he had in the food stall. He warned her that before eating everything, she should at least like this video that helps Mamoru make more juicy content for his viewers, activate the cheeky little bell, and I'm out.